You know, the best horror stories, the ones that really get under your skin, they almost always follow a pattern, right? You get characters you start to care about, they get some kind of ancient warning that they totally ignore, and then, well, you just get to watch it all fall apart. Today, we're going to deconstruct one of those exact kinds of stories. It's a seriously chilling tale about love, disbelief, and a secret that turns deadly. So let's dive in.
Everything we're about to get into, it all comes back to this one single question. What actually happens when people break traditions they don't understand, when the modern world just scoffs at the warnings of the past? And believe me, this isn't just a clever setup for a scary story. It's the core idea, and it leads somewhere truly terrifying.
Okay, so where does it all start? Well, like so many great tragedies, it starts with love. We're introduced to our main characters, Aarti and Vishal. They're a young, modern couple, everything's looking great for them. But their bright future is on a collision course with some seriously dark, ancient beliefs. So, let's talk about Aarti and Vishal. On the surface, they've got it made. They met back in college in Bangalore, they both have awesome careers at a top company, and now they're planning their wedding. They decide to have it in Vishal's traditional village. And this is where the problems start. See, Vishal is deeply skeptical of all the old customs. He thinks he's above it all. He actually makes fun of the village traditions, calls them backward. He's convinced he's moved on from all that superstitious nonsense. And this slide really lays out the central conflict, doesn't it? It's a total showdown. On one side, you've got Vishal, our modern skeptic. He's all about logic, reason, progress. And on the other side, his entire village. They're the ancient believers. They uphold their traditions, and they are terrified of what might happen if those traditions are ignored. So we're not just talking about a simple disagreement here. This is a head-on collision of two completely different ways of seeing the world.
So, what's the spark that lights this powder keg? It all comes down to one single defiant choice. Just one decision about the wedding date. And this one choice is what kicks off the whole tragedy.
And yeah, let's be super clear. This was not an accident. This wasn't some scheduling mix-up. Vishal does this on purpose. To prove a point, to basically mock the village beliefs he thinks are so silly, he deliberately chooses October 23rd as his wedding date. Now, for everyone else in the village, this day is cursed. It's a day of tragedy. So for him to do this, it's a massive slap in the face. This is the moment where there's no going back.
So, what's the big deal with October 23rd? Why is everyone so terrified of it? Well, you have to go back 100 years. Imagine this. A wedding procession, everyone celebrating, leaving the village. Then, disaster strikes, a horrible accident, and the toll is just devastating. 25 people are killed, including the groom and even a child. The celebration just vanished, replaced by screams. From that day forward, the date was marked, cursed. Nobody, and I mean nobody, celebrates anything on October 23rd. They don't even leave the village.
All right, so the cursed date is locked in. Vishal is ignoring every single warning he gets. And now, the consequences start. But here's the really twisted part. The horror doesn't go after Vishal, the guy who caused all this. Oh no. It starts to zero in on his fiancée, Aarti. And it begins with a series of events that are just terrifying and completely unexplainable.
And as this stuff starts happening to Aarti, you have to ask yourself, right? Is this just in her head? I mean, wedding stress is real. Is her mind just playing tricks on her? Or did Vishal's arrogance actually wake something up? Something really, really bad.
First, it's the sounds. Out of absolutely nowhere, Aarti starts hearing this deafening music, like a wedding band is right outside. But then, just as fast as it started, the happy music twists into these chilling, awful cries, the sounds of a crowd in mourning. She runs to the window, looks outside, and there's nothing. Not a soul. Just silence.
Okay, then it gets visual. And this is really gruesome. She is in the kitchen, and she finds a handful of severed fingers. Just there. Can you imagine? She opens her mouth to scream, to just let out all that terror, but no sound comes out. It's like she's trapped in this silent nightmare, totally and completely helpless.
And the horror doesn't let up. It starts invading her normal life. The very next morning, she's just trying to have breakfast, right? Just a simple, normal moment. But as she looks down at her plate, her food literally transforms in front of her eyes into a pile of writhing, severed fingers. It's official. There is no safe place for her anymore. No escape.
And then comes the final straw. The supernatural force literally corrupts technology. Think about it. She gets a video call from Vishal. the most modern, normal thing in the world, right? It's their lifeline. But when she reaches for her phone, it turns into a living, slithering snake right in her hands. This just proves it. Her modern world can't protect her.
So at this point, Aarti is on the edge of a total breakdown. Doctors have no idea what's wrong with her. Her family is absolutely desperate, so they turn to their last hope. They go looking for a mystic, an Aghori, who lives on the cremation grounds, just hoping he has some kind of answer. And this is where we hit this story's terrifying climax.
Now, before we go any further, it's probably good to know what an Aghori actually is. Basically, they're a type of Hindu ascetic who, well, they don't follow normal rules. They often live in places connected to death, like cremation grounds. People believe they have this incredible connection to the spirit world, which is why they are both deeply feared and at the same time respected.
So they find the Aghori, and there's no messing around. He takes one look at the situation, points directly at Vishal, the skeptic, and just drops this bombshell. He says, all of this is happening to Aarti because of you, Vishal. He makes it crystal clear that her suffering is the direct result of Vishal's arrogance, of him breaking that sacred tradition. The blame lands right on his shoulders.
But here's the tragedy. Hearing the truth, knowing who's to blame, it's too late. The wheels are already in motion. The forces that Vishal's disrespect unleashed, they're not going away. And now, they're here to collect their final awful payment.
And right there, in front of everyone, the possession reaches its horrible end. First, Aarti's body just starts to float in the air. Then this deep man's voice, maybe more than one, erupts from her mouth. Blood begins to literally pour from her lips. And after one last violent convulsion, she's gone. She dies. The thing that was tormenting her has finally taken her.
Watching this happen just shatters Vishal. The logical, rational man is completely gone. In his place is just a broken, rambling madman. He starts running frantically through the cremation grounds, screaming at whatever spirits he can't see, begging them to punish him instead, to take him. But it's just too late.
And that's how the story comes full circle. It's so ironic, isn't it? Vishal's one big attempt to prove the village superstition was nonsense, well, it ended up making that belief stronger than it has ever been. They say he never recovered. The story ends with him becoming a shell of a man, wandering the cremation grounds, forever apologizing to the very spirits he used to laugh at.
So that leaves us with one last haunting question, doesn't it? What do you think this was? Just a terrible tragedy fueled by superstition and stress? Or was it something more? Was this a genuine warning from the past that was ignored out of pure arrogance, leading to absolute disaster? I'll let you be the judge of that.